Welcome. We are on our next installation of our Lunch and Learn webinars. And this week we're going to be focusing on resources for third and fourth grade students. So if you are going into a third or fourth grade classroom, what are some of the key components that you could be teaching on to kind of help those teachers out when you go into their classrooms? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen so that you're going to be able to see those resources that I'm going to be highlighting. We were planning on doing this live, but we had some technical difficulties today where our the Zoom wasn't working, the internet was lagging, so we had several different things that were causing us some issues. So I would like to direct you to our Teach KY Ag website. If you go to teachkyag.org, it's going to bring up this website that looks like this. And at the top of it, we have a section that says programs and lessons. If you come down and click on curriculum, this is where it's a good landing hub for you to be able to find all the things that you would need curriculum wise. And if you're looking specifically for third and fourth grade, if you continue to scroll down, you are going to see an area where you can actually click on lessons by grade or Kentucky Academic Standards. So we're going to click on third grade real quick. And science is the big one for third and fourth grade. Fourth graders are tested in science. And so in those particular classes, they are hitting a lot on science curriculum, and we have lots of curriculum that can kind of help you along the way. So this is particularly for third grade. You can see that we have primary career studies, social studies, English language arts, math, and science. Let's go ahead and click on this science so you can see some of what third grade is supposed to learn in science. So these are the actual Kentucky academic standards that you can see. Asking questions to determine cause and effect, define a simple design problem that can be solved by applying scientific ideas about magnets. Magnets is a big one. So we have a really nice little lesson that would be really fun for you to take into a classroom. Plus it focuses on beef as well. And it is of course, as you know, Kentucky has the most dairy cattle east of the Mississippi River. And so we are a large beef producing state. And so this would be a really great opportunity for you to go into a classroom and to teach about one of our commodities, but also teaching them about magnets. So this Chew It Twice activity sheet actually focuses a lot on how cattle get the resources that they need, that they have a ruminant digestive system, that they go through the process of rumination. And so this Chew It Twice activity sheet, you need 2 magnets for each student. And so this is a really cool little diagram of what a ruminant digestive system looks like. You can kind of squash some of those earlier myths that they may have heard that a cow has 4 stomachs. And so they actually will have 2 magnets, and you can actually put, I don't know, you could put maybe a little pom-pom and glue a magnet on the end of that, and that can be what is at the front that can kind of act as the food. And then there's a magnet that you would put underneath of this cow, and as the food travels through the system, the magnet underneath is moving the magnet on top, and it kind of shows what's happening with that food. So it's a really interactive way to kind of teach a little bit about magnets, how magnets are attracted to each other, how they can move other magnetic forces, while also teaching about cattle, how cattle digest their food, why they're able to eat so much grass and convert that into a food that we can then use. And so it's a really interesting way for them to kind of show how that cud is thrown back up. So this is a really fun one that you could do that would be a lot of fun for a student that that was learning about magnets for a third grade classroom. So and there's all the resources that you would need. You could also pair those up with the Kentucky Farm Feeds Me virtual field trip series, as well as this really cool little video about a cow's digestive system where it has a live cow, but it kind of has a picture over the top of it to kind of show how the food progresses through there. And then there's also with that Kentucky Farm Feeds Me virtual field trip series, we also have other curriculum that partners up with that as well. So that's a really great one that you can do at the third grade level. Something else that you can talk about at the third grade level is we have a lot of horse curriculum. And so there is some excellent resources that you can look at for the horse curriculum, talking about coat color and camouflage. This is talking about how a particular organism can survive and some cannot survive at all. So some of those adaptations that horses would go through. And so this is a little bit about their coat color and their camouflage. And this is a fun one that you can do. Also highlights another key Kentucky commodity when we're talking about our horses. Everything that you would need to have is in here. And for you all that may not be overly familiar with the horse industry, there's always background information that's provided for you so that you can feel like you know exactly what it is you're talking to. It talks about some other animals with adaptations in here as well. And they have the opportunity to look at some physical adaptations as well as behavioral adaptations. And then the group kind of learns those as well. So what happens in this particular one is students are going to test how physical adaptation of camouflage works by conducting a simulation lab with colored candies. So you can get some M&Ms. And let me tell you, if you're going to go into a classroom, they're going to love it if you bring some sort of food and hands-on activity. And so what happens is you have all of these candies, and so you need plain M&M candies, and then you also need Skittles. Now, as you know, oftentimes Skittles and plain M&Ms look a whole lot together. I mean, they look a lot alike. And so you're going to divide students into groups of 2, and you're going to place 10 of each color in a plastic bag for the groups. Okay. And those are going to represent the prey. Then you're going to sort out, that's the M&Ms. Then you're going to sort the Skittles and place 60 of each color in a plastic bag, and that's going to represent different habitats. Okay. And so what's going to happen is you're going to put the prey in those habitats. And obviously the prey, which is the M&Ms that blend in well with their habitat that they live in, is going to have the adaptability to survive longer than the other ones. And so that's kind of a really fun way to have students kind of go through, work as a group, and kind of share their results. It's a really great way to learn specifically about camouflage, adaptations of animals. And it focuses specifically on how some horses also have different sorts of coloring on them. It's a really great lesson that you can look at with your students if you're going into a classroom, and it's really fun and it's hands-on. Everything that you would need to know is right there. Some other things that, I mean, you can look through here. There's a really great one about water, and it talks about the type of water that we have here with limestone rock. And that's a great one. Here's one about feeding racehorses and students, shelter and space building. So lots of STEM activities that you can take in to classrooms as well. And then there's the My Kentucky Home, which we've talked about this one before, but it's such a great lesson that really kind of delves into all of the natural resources that Kentucky provides, as well as why we have certain agriculture in the state of Kentucky, why we're able to produce certain crops and why we're able to produce certain livestock, what thrives well, and why certain parts of the state maybe do not have as much agriculture industry because they have other industries, such as in Eastern Kentucky with coal mining and with trees. Everything that you would need to have is right here. Again, this is hitting on that third and fourth grade curriculum. It's a great little lesson that you could go in and just do portions of it versus doing the whole lesson. You could maybe introduce the lesson and leave some additional information for the teacher to continue talking about natural resources as well. So everything that you would need to take with you is all right here on our website. You are able to download all of the presentations. You're able to download worksheets, and there's even a student notebook that's meant for third grade and above that you can also print out, and students are able to learn a lot about Kentucky. This is a really great lesson that you could take with you, and you could start talking about land use in Kentucky. You could talk about the regions. They can color in this region down here. They have some great fill in the blank activities. They can learn about their own individual county. So whatever county you might live in, you can actually highlight specifically what is happening in that particular county. So they're learning about the impact that agriculture has right there in their own backyard. This would also be an awesome lesson as we're approaching National Ag Day, which is March 18th, where you could go and show students really the impact that agriculture has specifically on their own lives as well as in their state and their county. It's a really great one that you could do. You could print these off and you could introduce the lesson and then leave these packets with the teachers. And maybe the teachers could continue talking specifically about what Kentucky provides for them. It's a great way to have a really quick lesson into agriculture, as well as letting them have some look at different things that are related, such as habitats, natural resources, the economy, all the different things that could be helpful when you're in a classroom. So let me go back. As we scroll on down, we also have some other lessons about soil. We have some lessons on a pizza garden. We have lessons on creating a modern pig barn. And if you notice, some of these have watch with next to it, it'll say pig farm or horse park. These are those Kentucky Farm Feeds Me virtual field trip series, which are such a great beginning whenever you go into a classroom, if you're wanting to do any sort of a lesson, to start off with these virtual field trips. They're very fun. There's a young girl who takes the students around to the different farms in Kentucky. What's really cool about these particular lessons is that they highlight a real Kentucky farm. So they actually will go to a Kentucky farm. They interview someone who produces that commodity here in the state of Kentucky and is able to talk about all of those things that would be pertinent to their careers, their farms, the production of that animal or that crop. And it's a really nice way for students to get an in-depth look as to what's happening. It's perfect for third and fourth grade classrooms. In fact, I'm a high school agriculture teacher, and I even show these when I do my Kentucky agriculture unit with my freshmen. They're a short, really nice way to introduce a new commodity to the students as we are exploring Kentucky agriculture as a whole. And so it's a wide range. You have a large audience with these particular videos. They're very well done. That was done through a partnership with Kentucky Farm Bureau. And so they're very well they're very well done. And so I would encourage you to definitely start any sort of a presentation with maybe one of these lessons. And obviously, if you don't have the capability of showing a video, maybe they're out on your farm, another really great way is to have a book. Even third and fourth graders enjoy being read to, and so you could start out with a book. The American Farm Bureau has a list of books that are called Agriculture Accurate books, and that is on their website. And so I would definitely encourage you all to be able to go and look at those if you are having a lesson that's outside. In fact, let me see if we have a link on our own website. I think we just have them aligned for particular ones. But if you go to the American Farm Bureau Foundation, typed that in wrong. It would help if I knew how to spell. So yes, here are those books. This year's book that was just announced. This is the 18th year in a row that they've had a book of the year. This is the Soil in Jackie's Garden. This is a really great one to use as well, and that could partner up really well with the My Kentucky Home Provides What I Need, or even some of those soil lessons that you were looking at. It's a really, really well done book. Excellent illustrations. As you open the book up, it's got lots of drawings of what's occurring under the soil with all those microorganisms and with things that are living in the soil. And so it's a really fun book that you could use as well. So if you're looking for other books, I would definitely encourage you to visit the American Farm Bureau as well so that you could find some really great lessons. All right, so let's go back to our website, teachkyag.com. So again, you'll click right up here where it says curriculum, and you can scroll down. And we're going to go to fourth grade. Now, fourth grade is the first year that they're tested in science. And so there is a strong look into science as well for that age group. So some things that we're looking at curriculum-wise that we're looking at for fourth grade is energy and fuels. Listen, that My Kentucky Home Provides What I Need. Also, that lesson also highlights energy production, natural gas, oil, as well as coal production that occurs in Kentucky. There is also a lesson that's called What is Ethanol and How is it Made? It's a nice little lesson that you can go through, explains exactly what it is, how we are able to derive that from corn, and it's got some nice little visuals that you could talk about. And then there's obviously a video that you could show as well if you have the opportunity to do so. As you scroll down here, the soybean lesson. Now, this is one that we have highlighted a lot in the past. This one talks about plants and animals have internal and external structures that function to support survival, growth, behavior, and reproduction. And so this is focusing on life cycles and reproduction. This is a really great lesson that we're thankful that the Kentucky Soybean Board has sponsored us for many years in providing this lesson to students. This has a nice little tutorial for you to watch yourself if you need to know how to put the soybean necklaces together. And this kind of highlights all the things that a plant needs in order to germinate. And then it talks about that inside of that seed is an embryo that will eventually turn into a plant, and that life cycle continues. The original seed dies, but a new plant takes its place. It'll go through the life cycle that a soybean would go through, and then it produces more soybeans that have those embryos for future plants inside of all of those. Again, works awesome with our Visit a Kentucky Soybean Farm through the Kentucky Farm Feeds Me virtual field trip series. There's also some other videos that you can watch as well. A really great book that can go with this is this Full of Beans, and it's about Henry Ford Grows a Car. It's a really interesting book that you can look at and share with your students. So it's a little bit about history as well as the function of soybeans and kind of what Henry Ford wanted to do with some soybeans. So these are some recommendations on some books. This is what I meant, that sometimes we just have some books listed with different lessons. And so this is a great one that you can look into as well. This is very hands-on. Students have the opportunity to take that soybean necklace home with them, and they can tell their parents about it. Why the warmth from the sun is needed in order for that seed to germinate. Kind of what the brown paper towel represents the soil that you put that seed down in the soil. So it's a really nice way for them to teach their parents what they learned at school, but it's also really hands-on. And so students are going to have the opportunity to tangibly learn, because really at any age level, but especially at third and fourth grade, if you're going into the classroom, you need to be able to give them something tangible that they can hold on to. So if you're going into the classroom, but you could also do this if they were coming out to your farm as well. It's also a really great one that you could do right on the farm. And what would be really cool about that is if you produce soybeans on your farm, or you're at a location that produces soybeans, that's really neat because they can kind of see where those would actually be grown at, and then you're able to do a lesson with soybeans. This is also really neat because we're highlighting another one of those commodities that are so important to Kentucky's economy, and it allows you to kind of focus on Kentucky agriculture as well. So as you scroll on down through here, you will see a lot of times some of the lessons will reappear at various grade levels, and that's because so many lessons are highlighting different things, different curriculum that could apply to third grade or could also apply to fourth grade. And so that's something that you can keep in mind. But these horse lessons are really great for you to highlight, especially if you have a horse background and you feel comfortable of being able to go into a classroom and to talk about horses with the students. That is a really great one. This horse that's in the water, I know that I had already highlighted that as well, but something that is really focused on a lot in the fourth grade is talking about rock formations, fossils, erosion, how things weather, particularly rocks, and the effect that that happens to have on the environment around them. And so this one focuses on the karst soil that we have here in Kentucky, limestone and calcium, as well as providing some really interesting information about horses. For example, horses need at least 10 gallons of water a day. That's a tremendous amount of water. And so this lesson focuses on why some areas of Kentucky provide a better habitat for breeding horses, natural weather events such as acid rain that contributes to small changes on the Earth's surface. It's going to explore weathering and erosion and how that leaks calcium carbonate into the groundwater and then animals consume that. So this one's really fun because you are actually going to get some distilled vinegar and you're going to get some distilled water and you're going to put that on some limestone and see the bubbles that are occurring from that, kind of a look at all that limestone that gets into the water and then how the horses ingest that. So this is a really great lesson, very hands-on, again, something visual for the kids to look at, as well as learning about the natural resources in Kentucky, learning about the soil, and they're also learning about horses and the impact that the Kentucky's environment has on horses. So make sure that you have the opportunity to check some of those out. And don't forget, we also have those Kentucky Farm Feeds Me videos that works really well with that. Another resource that I want to highlight with you all beyond what we have here on our website, and by the way, this was just science. That's all that we looked at. You can scroll back. You can look at career exploration, which is always so important. We have lots of, we have horse careers. That's actually what the Horse Park video focuses on. We have other careers, highlights who makes my milk. That's specifically about a dairy farm. Who makes my bacon. It's a very similar lesson, but one focuses on bacon production. One focuses on milk production. There is also a highlight on some social studies. So this is going to be looking a lot at economics, supply and demand, grocery store problem, solving bushels or busts, which is in one of our other resources that's sponsored by Kentucky Corn Growers. That is a great hands-on game that can be applied to so many different age groups, all the way down from elementary school all the way to high school. Works awesome with that corn video. And the other cool thing about bushels or bust, and that link is not working, so we'll get that fixed. I'm going to make note of that real quick. There is also, if you are familiar with bushels or bust, it's a card game, but we also have created a Google Slides version of that game so that if you were in an area like a library at an ag day or in a classroom, that you wouldn't necessarily have to pass out all of the cards and you could do something on a screen, and it's very interactive. In Bushels or Busts, and that particular game, students are going to have the opportunity to put themselves in the decision making of a corn producer from April, when the corn goes in the ground, all the way through September at harvest. And there's all these decisions that need to be made, as well as risks that need to be weighed and analyzed as the producer. So it's a really great look into life cycles. It's a great look into all sorts of things that are related to corn production. So those are some things that you need to keep in mind. And that works really well with that Kentucky Farm Feeds Me, or the Kentucky Farm Feeds Me virtual field trip series to a corn farm as well. The other thing that I wanted to highlight with you all was this IXL.com website. This is national standards. This is national standards, not just particularly Kentucky standards. But if you're going into a classroom, whatever classroom that you're going into, and you see all of these different grade levels, if you were going into a fourth grade classroom, you can see that what they would be evaluated on for math, language arts, science, and social studies. So if we clicked on the fourth grade science skills, it brings up all sorts of things that they could be assessed on. And so we were just talking about the horse vision, and that looks at weathering and erosion. This will actually highlight it will actually highlight possible examples of what a student would be tested on. And then it shows some example test questions as well. So if you are a teacher or if you're a friend of a teacher, this might be a really excellent resource that you could share with them, as well as you going into a classroom and knowing exactly what it is that that age group is going to be tested on. So under animals, again, comparing life cycles, we have so many lessons that look specifically at life cycles. We even have some life cycles that focus specifically on poultry. We have that digestion lesson that I showed you all about the cow chew it twice, as well as all sorts of different lessons that focus on plants, adaptations, even those magnets that we were discussing. So this is a great way of looking and seeing exactly what it is that fourth graders would be tested on in science. And it just makes you know exactly what it is that you can bring to the table, that you can bring into a classroom that can help teachers so that so that you're bringing in lessons that would be applicable to their classroom. I know that this was a quick run through. There's so much curriculum that we have on our website. I would really encourage you, if you're going into a classroom, to go into those lessons, click around and see what resources we have that are aligned to the Kentucky academic standards, as well as focuses on Kentucky agriculture. And you can see specifically what it is that you could bring into a teacher's classroom or that you could teach on a farm, so that students are learning about Kentucky agriculture while also hitting those Kentucky academic standards that they're having to learn anyway. If you have any questions, please reach out. My email is rachel@teachkyag.org. You can also reach out to Jennifer. Her email is jennifer@teachkyag.org. We're here to assist you and help you in any way that you may need. Thank you all and have a great day.